Hello, my unstoppable friends. So now I'm going to talk to you about our October character word. Last month we talked about acceptance and being accepting of people and the uniqueness that everybody carries and holds and all the different talents and wonderful things that each of us do that might be different and that none of us are the same, and that's okay. And so with October, with responsibility is kind of a big thing. I mean, there's three ways you can be responsible. You can take responsibility, you can act responsible, and you can have responsibilities. And so it's kind of got a lot of things that it kind of all entails with the word responsibility. What being responsible means is doing the things that you'll say you will do or the things that you're expected to do, and accepting the consequences when you aren't being responsible. You want to accept those consequences of those actions. So it's kind of goes along with our lesson we had this week about making good choices and being responsible. That kind of goes hand in hand. It goes together. When you are responsible, you might gain some more trust and more freedom from your parents or your teachers because you're being responsible. When you're irresponsible or not responsible, usually there are consequences to that. And I'm going to give you an example of what that might mean. Let's say that one of your chores in the morning is to feed your dog. And you decide that you are too tired or you don't feel like doing it today, and you decide not to feed your dog. Now what? So there are two things. Number one, you didn't feed the dog, so how does that affect the dog? So you're kind of playing around or harming the dog's health a little bit because he's not getting any food and you need to eat. Doesn't your dog need to eat? So that's a consequence, is you're harming your dog and harming his health or her health a little bit. Another consequence of that is, do you think your parents might be a little bit disappointed if you didn't feed your dog and that was your job? They might be a little bit disappointed, and they're going to feel like they have to check up on you more because you can't do your job or you didn't do it like you were supposed to. You weren't being responsible. And so they'll have to check up on you and kind of watch that behavior or take away a little bit of that freedom, a little bit of allowing you to have those kinds of chores. And sometimes, when you don't do your chores or do those responsibilities, you might not get to do certain things like maybe play on an iPad or go to a friend's house, or maybe you get an allowance and they might dock that allowance. So there's, all these consequences when you're not doing your job and being responsible. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you come to school, your responsibility here, or your job, as I like to say, when you come to school, your job as students is to learn. And so when you come here, I want you to think of it as coming to school is your job, just like your mom or dad or grandpa and grandma or whoever you might live with has a job. Your job is to come to school and to learn, and that's your job. And the teacher's job, of course, is to what? It's to teach. That's right. So your teachers are here to teach you, and then my job is to be here and to keep everyone safe and make sure everybody's teaching and everybody's learning. So that's my job, and that's my responsibility. So I want you to think about today, when I'm done here talking about responsibility, I want you to think about this, and maybe your teachers will talk with you about this, and maybe you'll write some things down. That's totally up to you. What are some responsibilities that you have? What are some things that you are responsible for? Do you have chores? Do you have different things that your parents expect you to do? What are some responsibilities you might have at school? So think about that. And then when you don't do your responsibilities, what are some of those consequences that might happen if you don't follow through or do them? So one, what are responsibilities that you might have? And two, what happens when you're not being responsible. All right, so it's so wonderful how all of this is coming together for our unstoppable theme this year. So continue to be unstoppable. I want to address something else about responsibility quick before I finish up here. Let's remember too, part of being responsible is cleaning up after ourselves, whether it's in the bathroom or the lunchroom. Um, Part of being responsible might also be when you're sitting in the lunchroom and you're talking with your friends and you get a little loud. Maybe part of your being responsible might be asking, oh, we're getting kind of loud. Maybe we should talk a little softer. Or, part of that responsibility might be making sure that we are, just doing the things that we should be doing. Like in the lunchroom, we want to make sure we're sitting on our pockets so that we don't fall off of the bench and get hurt. These things that we ask you to do, we do them to help you stay safe. So be responsible and be safe and be unstoppable. Have an awesome, awesome week and a great October.